How are you doing? Welcome to this interview. Today we are going to have Pieter Snyder from Bold Statements. I am super excited to have him as my first guest because Pieter was the person who introduced me with sign painting. So, non saying more, Pieter, welcome.
Hi, Joanna.
How are you
Thank you.
doing? Thank you very much for being here and for your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Lovely.
really excited to.
Ah, thank you. What about if you just introduce yourself for the people that don't know you, where you are located, and yeah, who are you?
Great. Yeah. Well, as Joanna said, I'm Pieter Snijders. I'm from the Netherlands. I live in Arnhem, which is a small city in the east. And I'm a designer, and I'm a designer of digital stuff already for 20 plus years now. I've studied at the Design Academy because in my youth I wanted to be a product designer. And then about 6 years ago, I decided I wanted to do a bit more of the crafty stuff. I did it at college or at academy. So I decided to follow some workshops of screen printing and stuff like that. And I, went to draw some letters. I didn't even know that had a name, like hand lettering or sign painting or whatever. But on social media, people picked it up and said, well, you should do more with it. Do you have postcards? Put them in the shop, or do you give workshops? And well, I just said yes to everything, and I thought, well, maybe I should put a name to that. And then I had a hand lettering piece with, quite a bold statement. So I thought, well, bold statements, maybe that's a nice name for my side hustle company. So I've been doing that now for more than 6 years. And 5 years ago, I encountered sign painting, and that really uh, hit me. And I've been doing that now for as much as I can. Every spare minute I have, I try to pick up a brush or at least design something to paint later on. So
So, how was that first encounter with sign painting?
some people around me knew I was drawing letters, and I liked that. And someone said to me, "Oh, I have some friends, and they have been doing this sign painting, and they're giving a workshop." So, which was in Rotterdam at the time, and I was like, "Oh, maybe let's try that." So, I followed a workshop just for one day, and then I did some practice at home, and then I left it for a year, and then didn't do much with it. And then in 2016, accidentally, I stumbled upon the Letterheads meet, which Amsterdam sign painters were organizing in Amsterdam in September. And I could just, it was when I noticed it, it was just 1 week to go.
Oh, wow.
And then I could get some tickets, and just went there, and really met these beautiful people who have been doing that for a long time already, and
Yeah.
are willing to share their skill and knowledge. And from there, I try to do that too.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's something that is important to mention is that Pieter has a full-time job as
Mhm.
a designer, and he does parallel to his full-time job his bold statements company. So,
Mhm.
and I am mentioning this is because Pieter always is super busy. I mean, you're really a hand-on person. How do you do it? How do you manage to be a father, a husband, to be a full-time employee, and to produce the amount of work that you produce?
Yeah, well, I don't know actually. As you said, I'm married. I have two beautiful sons, and actually, when they were young, they are 11 and 13 now. But when they were younger than 7 years old, most people who have kids know it can be very busy, and I was really lacking some me time doing stuff for myself. And then when they became older, I noticed, okay, there's more spare time now. So and that's when I picked up hand lettering and sign painting. And yeah, you said I'm working full time. I'm working in an office at in Amsterdam at IJsfontein Media. It's called. I'm making apps and museum installations, websites, games, stuff like that, which is really nice. And yeah, I really like the combination of that. But I'm doing that 4 days a week. So on Friday, mostly it's my part-time day, and the weekends, of course, and the evenings. I yeah, have some surplus of creative energy, and yeah, I try to do creative stuff. And actually, instead of costing me energy, it really gives me a lot of extra energy to yeah create. I really cannot sit still that very good.
Oh,
That's fun.
that's admirable. That's really, really admirable.
Yeah, but
I think
I do have to say, I of course, yeah, it's really also thanks to my wife and kids that have the how do you say, yeah, give me that space to do that. So yeah, so
that's lovely. Yeah. Having the
mhm.
support of the family, I think that is a key element to be able to pursue as a dream or just a passion.
Yeah, yeah.
And curious, where are you at the moment?
I'm nowhere and everywhere. I don't really have a plan. I just take on whatever passes by, and sometimes it's a workshop, and sometimes it's an assignment on location for a store or a restaurant, and sometimes it's just a commission, which I can do here at home. And sometimes there's nothing to do, and then I just make up something for myself. So yeah, and
So,
at the moment it's a mix of that.
and you are saying here at home, so this place where you are sit down right now, I have
Yep.
been there,
Yeah, yeah,
but I think that the people who is watching this interview would love to see it, and I swear that people will not regret it. So tell us a
yeah.
little bit about this beautiful space you have there in your house.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah, it's a really humble little space, but it's my really sort of small paradise. I can really retreat here and yeah, paint and leave all the smelly stuff here and close the door, and the rest of the house won't even notice. Uh, we moved here 3 years ago, mainly also because a lot of uh, yeah, our parents are living here, and so they're getting a bit older now, and so we wanted to move closer. But the house we previously lived, I had not no separate space to paint, so I had to wait till the kids went to bed. Then I had to get all my stuff from the attic down to the kitchen, where I
Oh
had
God.
a spot on the table, mix the paint, stir it, and then paint for an hour, and then clean it up all again. And then the kitchen was smelly. And so when we moved,
Yeah.
yeah, the main thing to look for was a small space where I can yeah, just make my own room. So, and this was the space which was really unfurnished yet when we bought it, and the rest of the house was already very nice and finished. But this one was really it just had the washing machine, so I built a separate wall here, and maybe I can move the camera around a little. So behind this door, there's the washing machine, but I really yeah, made this wall, and then so I'm 2 doors away now from the rest of the house, and actually the table the laptop is resting on now, can I can fold it up,
Yeah.
so it my painting easel. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
really
I have to say that I admire how do you design everything, because indeed it's a very small space, but it has
yeah.
everything what you need, even a coffee machine.
Yeah, yeah. There was already a tap, so I made a small kitchenette, and then there's just enough room to have a small cupboard for my drawings and pens and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a IKEA Billy closet here, which I cut halfway through, and then so there was this one big closet, and then I cut it in half and then mounted it like this with a hinge, so I can put all my painting cans in
Yeah.
there, and and it's like a trolley now for my stuff. So
Yeah. I also
really
have to
compact. Yeah.
I also have to say that I love your little um the lamp as a hat.
Yeah. Oh, the other way around. So it's over there. Yeah.
Is really cool. That's
Yeah.
really nice. And I know that you have next to you some of your valuable treasures. I
Yeah.
have been a fan always of your toolkit boxes. I think that you're a master producing them. So will you mind to show them to us?
I've put them here next to me, so on the table, and yeah, this is actually my main toolkit, which I bring when I'm on a job. So and then in this one, there's all my brushes, but I only pick the brushes I need for a job. So let's see. So here's all the brushes.
You're
But if
always
I go to the job, I just pick the ones I need and I put it in this one, so I do not have to carry all the stuff. So and then I have a separate box for my acrylic brushes. So the other box, that's my these are my oil brushes. So yeah, oh, this one has another side as well.
okay.
Good, cheap, select two. You cannot have three of them.
And I
So
think that all your boxes have gilding, right? You have put gold on all of them.
yeah, well, actually not this one, but
Yeah.
the other two do have. Yeah. So yeah, and it's also, these are small experiments. So I learn things by just practicing on the go. So actually, this one is the first guild I ever did, and I made mistakes, and you cannot see it on camera, but I had to repaint this all over because it went wrong, and so.
Peter, tell us a little bit more about the hat of your lamp.
Yeah, well, actually, my logo or both statements is a small hat, and the reason why I chose that is actually because multiple reasons. I wanted to have an impression of going back to the old days because actually sign painting was a dying profession. It's being revived now, but yeah, it's something from the old days, and I wanted to do it really like yeah, neat and gentlemanly like. It's nice to yeah, when you paint something, you can see it's done by hand. But yeah, I wanted to want to do it as nice as possible. So and when I was in art school, I was taught to design stuff without too much special effects, so no shadows and no 3D type and stuff like that. It's all Helvetica and black and white. And actually, my guilty pleasure was the little details from old designs. And yeah, then I stumbled upon a saying from the uh, design designers who said, "I'm not Willy Wonka. I do not sugarcoat shit." And I was like, well, maybe I'm kind of like a little Willy Wonka because I like to sugarcoat shit. I like to put all the bevels and all the details on it.
Uh-huh.
And that's actually
Yeah.
now my trademark. So when people come to me for a logo, I always tell them you don't get a black and white logo with a small pictogram. You get something with 3D stuff and bevels and details and ornaments and stuff like that. So, and then, yeah, I really thought the hat was really fitting. So then I saw this lamp a few years ago. I thought, well, I need to have it. So, but it was 400 euros. So, and I'm always like support your locals, but 400 euros for a lamp was a bit too much for me. So I found it on Alibaba.
Uh,
But,
Lucky
But
you.
then again, this is just made for the lamp. So actually, I still didn't really have a real top hat. And then a few weeks ago, in an old antique shop, I found one. So, and then I thought, well, maybe I should just buy that one. And it was a bit, I have it here. It doesn't really fit me. My head is too big, but it's really nice to have one now. And it's a bit dented and it's really old and stuff like that. And then I looked on the inside and there's a few really nice old ornamented logos in there.
Uh-huh.
And I looked
You
them
can
up.
see
And
it, but you don't see all the details.
yeah, well, it's fabricated by Charles H. Townend in London. And I tried to Google it, but I couldn't find it. But it's been sold by W.A. Vreesman in Groningen, which is in the north of Holland. And I looked up the shop and I found out the shop doesn't exist anymore since 1928. So
Oh
this
my
one,
God.
it's more than 90 years old, this hat. So
Oh,
it's a really old.
wow. It's an amazing
Yeah. So
item for you. It's great.
yeah, so I'm really happy to have that one. So yeah,
Oh,
and that's also something I really enjoy, just developing my own brand without even need to do something with it, because
mm-hmm.
it's my part-time hustle and I'm really happy how it goes. But yeah, it's not part of my living. I'm sometimes maybe a bit jealous of people who can make a living out of it, and I know sometimes that's a hard struggle. But I really like the combination of having it next to a day job as a designer, which I also really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can not always have to do it for the money and
That's
just
great.
cherry pick some nice assignments every now and then.
Oh,
So
well,
yeah,
you're a lucky one.
thank
I
you.
also have to say that about lucky ones, I was the lucky one to have the pleasure of painting with you time to time when I was living in the Netherlands. And something that stick in my mind was that every time you paint or we were working on a project, you mentioned things like happy times, let's have fun, this is party time. So you're always super excited when painting. So how's that you don't get stressed? I mean, me, sometimes I'm like, oh, Jesus, I have to do this, that. And of course, you need to have in your head many things, taking into account many things at the same time.
Mm.
But in you, you really can see that you really enjoyed it, that it's like a party for you, it's a pleasure. How do you do it?
Well, it's not always a pleasure or a party, but it's partly appearances as well. But no, when we paint together or when I'm painting here in my studio, yeah, it's mainly for just leisure and yeah, I try to pick techniques or things that give me pleasure, but also which I can learn from by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know painting letters can be frustrating, especially when you're starting with painting letters. There's a lot of aspects, as you say, you have to take into account, and there's a lot of skill to learn and muscle memory to develop. And that can be frustrating at times, but still, yeah, I think it's important to do it for your pleasure. If it doesn't give you pleasure, maybe you should pick something else. But you will notice after time that when you get more skilled and you get more muscle memory, that it can be really rewarding and gives you a lot of self-esteem when you start a project and you wonder before you start, can I even do this, these thin
Mm-hmm.
lines or this
Yeah.
gold or whatever. And then by taking it step by step and really thinking it through and doing it carefully, in the end you have something that you can be really proud of, like,
Yeah.
whoa, I actually did it. So, and
Yeah.
that's the main
You
fun
know,
for me.
it happens to me as well that many times I'm working on a project, a and because I am painting like with the sign here,
Yeah,
you see all the micro imperfections.
yeah,
But it happens to me that many times I leave the project for 1, 2 days or well for certain time, and when I come back, the project looks so pretty to me again. It's like, oh wow. I think that you also need to have a little bit of distance and a little bit of
yeah,
perspective. Of course, when you're painting, they always tell you stand back, look at
Yeah.
the sign and look how it looks, because you never are going to look a sign from here.
Yeah.
But it also happens taking distance, maybe in terms of time.
Yeah.
So I think that what you say also is true, that if you take it with calm and with that rush, and
Yeah.
maybe having a little bit of a break or working on something different in the meantime, that really helps you to settle down your emotions about it and have the appreciation again.
Yeah, yeah, I really recognize that. So, and that's also a very important lesson to learn, to step back and indeed take your time and look at it a week later. And then, yeah, you can let go of some imperfections. So, and that's also,
Yeah.
yeah, quite a challenge for me because I'm really a perfectionist. And yeah, that's actually why I started hand lettering and sign painting, to try to let go of that. And in
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, it even got worse. I was like, I want to get this perfect, and now I try to turn it around and do it more by hand and more, yeah, taking it easy, more easygoing, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
Uh,
Peter, you're saying that when you started, you start mainly doing hand lettering. So, at the moment, what type of work do you do?
Well, I always try to keep myself busy with brushes. At the moment, I am planning to painting assignments. Actually, the client wants chalkboard markers, but I'm trying to sell them paint.
Mm-hmm.
But there's two more assignments. One is just finished, and I'm working on another logo design as well. And they don't want it hand painted, but they want it the hand drawn look.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then I always, as I mentioned, try to design something that really looks like it's made with a lot of attention, and yeah, it has a lot of detail. And yeah, so and it always starts with the pencil on paper. I do have an
Mm-hmm.
iPad Pro, and for some assignments I use that every now and then. But even before picking up the iPad pencil, I pick up the real HB pencil
Yeah.
to draw on
Yeah.
paper. And
Yeah.
then yeah, even when it's the outcome has to be digital because it has to be printed or something. So yeah.
So, if we talk about your creative process for your designs, so you say you start always by pen. I imagine that creating the sketches, maybe rough, but
Yeah.
organizing your ideas in your head and put it on paper. What happened after that?
Yeah, well, I have some sketches here, and you might say, if you look at it, this is my sketchbook. Um, but it already looks very finished, maybe
It looks
to
very
most.
clean.
So,
You
but
should see
actually,
mine.
before I make this, I I start on just plain A4 papers, and then make the thumbnail sketches on there, and then I start to work on these in this book. So, and then after this, I scan it, and sometimes I just make mock-ups with it on the window or on the T-shirt in this case. And after that, if the client approves it, then I vectorize it in Illustrator, and if it's for print. So, but there's also jobs, mainly fun jobs for myself, like for instance this one. Just a minute. This one is my record player. And actually this one was just a thumbnail sketch which I blew up in Photoshop to A3 size. It was just
Oh, wow.
this small a sketch, and then it worked for me as yeah, yeah, as a starting point to just start painting. And that's actually a real fun process. Just let the paint and the brush do its work and refine it, and then yeah, the letters just evolve while painting.
Now that you show us that one, it it made me think that you usually include some illustrations, kind of cartoons or little elements. Um, it comes really natural for you. I mean,
Yeah, well, it's something I've been doing more for the last, yeah, few years, I think. Yeah, I really like those old advertisements with the little drawings in there and little
yeah,
cartoons, these 60s from the last century.
yeah.
So yeah, I try to do that, but and I think, yeah, like these retro or vintage designs or signs are really something I like doing. And then, yeah, 50s and 60s are very obvious. And then you
Hmm.
have these 70s, 80s is not much done. And then a few weeks ago, I got the question, can you do a 90s thing? And then I thought, well, what is 90s? Can I do a 90s thing? And then I started researching, and that was the same like of yeah, epiphany when you start painting and you can actually do that. Then
Uh-huh.
I got some stuff together. I was like, yeah, this is really 90s. It's really really fun to go look for the really specific elements of a style of a certain era, and then bring it together and make something of it in your own way.
Hmm.
That's really what I enjoy doing. So yeah.
But I think that also people need to take into account that, of course, what we see on social media usually is the final product,
Yeah.
designed perfectly done, but people don't take into account all the process that is behind that sign. So, for instance,
Yeah.
you are at the moment talking about doing kind of a research, finding
Hmm.
your inspirations, your sources, taking
Yeah.
elements from here, from there, and then adjust them on a way that works for what you need to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I said it again, you are really fast and you can produce a lot of work. Well, I think so.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe it's also a matter of having certain or several projects at the same time. So,
Uh-huh.
as you already mentioned, yeah, sign painting is not only painting. That's only
Mm-hmm.
10% of the job. Actually, it's also research, designing, preparing, and mixing paint and choosing color and all those different aspects. And yeah, I'm working on different projects at the same time. So at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
I'm painting, but I'm also designing something else and
Mm-hmm.
buying stuff for another
Yeah.
assignment. So and that's why, yeah, maybe every other week I have something new to show, but
Yeah.
everything takes maybe several weeks to create. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
I think that people need to take that into account. And now that you're talking about weeks, waiting weeks, I know you have been waiting actually a year
Yeah.
because you were or you have been organizing the Amsterdam Lettering Weekend.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, well, as you know, I like going to letterheads meets, which are international meetings, which were organized every year, and then all these sign people from all over the world um, get together and paint for a few days. And yeah, the last time we could do that was physically was in Porto, where you were too,
Yeah,
and we had some really nice day, really nice weather, and
amazing.
yeah, met all these
Amazing,
great
amazing
people.
memories.
Yeah, and I got into contact with Gaston the painter from Australia. Really nice guy, really skilled, and if you look for sign painting, yeah, he's the first hit on Google usually, or at least on Pinterest, uh,
Yeah.
uh, uh, as a resource for sign painting. And yeah, we were discussing. Well, I give workshops, you give workshops. Maybe we can organize something in Amsterdam sometime. And then while we were discussing that, a few weeks later, I met Leanne Barker from Australia as well. She was in the Netherlands, and she also said, I really like to give workshops, but I don't know if I can pull it off in the Netherlands or whatever. I said, well, I'm organizing. Maybe we should organize something with the three of us. And
Hmm.
I started organizing, and as soon as I launched it, another guy, Gustavo Ferrari from Argentina, said, "Oh, I'm in the Netherlands too, or in Europe then by then. So can I also join?" So we had 4 people. We had 3 days planned, and then for 4 people. And then I thought, well, participants can choose a 1-day workshop with one of these 3 people, and then
Mm-hmm.
have 3 different workshops. So that was supposed to happen last year in May. Well, we all know what happened, and it couldn't go on. So, and then we said, well, maybe in a year it's all gone. So we tried to organize it again in May 2021, but that also was too early. And now we're also preparing again for 2022. So
Mm-hmm.
let's all keep our fingers crossed that it might happen then. So, and then, yeah, this is the flyer from last year, which is says Amsterdam Lettering Weekend, 3 full day workshops to take your lettering skills next level.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who are going to do that again or try that again in uh, May 2022. So let's hope we can all get together in Amsterdam. I have a beautiful space there, and yeah, we try to organize it.
It is a beautiful space with an amazing view
Oh,
and with fantastic murals.
yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, well, that's actually the barter deal I have. It's the meeting rooms above the office where I work, and I have a barter deal with my employer that I paint all these nice murals so I can use these rooms, so I can keep the tickets as cheap as possible for all the people who want to join us to paint and
And
learn.
you say that you have people from all over the world that is going to join you.
Yeah, well, last year the bookings, I had to repay them all, of course, when we canceled it. But we had bookings from all over the world, from different countries in Europe, Italy, France, Spain, Sweden, but also from Canada and the US. And yeah, people really wanted to come over to participate, which was really nice. So that gives good hope that if we organize it again, it's going to be really nice. So
And I remember that during the process of this event,
yeah,
something also was born,
yeah.
and is your one of your books.
Mhm.
So, what about if you just tell us how this book was born and everything what happened around the book?
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, well, uh, I was one of the people who was supposed to do workshops over there, and I thought, well, how can I distinguish myself between the other 3 teachers? Liane, who is doing the sign painting essentials workshop, teaching the basics of block lettering, and Gaston, who's doing the script, and Gustavo, who's doing the really ornamental lettering. So, oh, just a minute. And I had these workshops before with 3D letters in paper, with a real process how to draw 3D letters,
Mm-hmm.
and but it wasn't painted letters. So, and I thought, well, maybe I should take it next level and make an overview of all different 3D special effects you can adapt on letters. Um, because I found several different aspects in different books, but I never
Mm-hmm.
had the overview. So I thought, well, maybe I should make some samples for my workshop. And then I had about 30, 35 samples. And I thought, well, maybe I should make a poster of it, which is over here, there on the
Mm-hmm.
wall. And then I thought, well, if I just write a few words for every sample, then I can maybe make a little book. So that's this book, Shaded Letters and Other Vintage Lettering Effects. And yeah, it has all these different samples of different lettering effects or 3D effects. And well, the book was finished, and it was 3 months to go to the workshop, and then everything had to be canceled. So I thought, well, what shall I do with the book? Shall I just leave it there until we can do the workshops, or shall I just print it and see what happens? So I decided to have a go at it, and then just print it in my own, how do you say, self-publish it.
Mm-hmm.
And I printed 50 copies, and I just put it on my Instagram channel, and then within 2 weeks they were all gone. And they also went different places in Europe, but also Australia and Japan and Brazil and everywhere. And I did a few reprints, and in the meantime I've sold 300 of these all over the world, and then just via my own small channel. So that was really nice to notice. And I was really honored to be asked by Sam Roberts from Better Letters last year, when we couldn't have a physical letterheads meet. He organized the Lockdown Letterheads, which was an online event, and I could present the book a little in half an hour to all participants, which was really nice. So
it was. I remember that.
Yeah, but actually, the actual workshop still has to happen. So I have the book already. But
well, hopefully in next year in May, we will have the chance to join all together and paint and learn and share all these passions again.
That would be really nice. Yeah. So
hopefully I manage to go there as well.
Yeah, even if it was just for you to get here, to get you over here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think that the last question I would like to ask you, it will be an advice for people who is just starting in the world of sign painting. What will you say to them, for people that is looking to go a little bit more professional, looking to get some commissions and maybe struggling with that?
Yeah.
What are your words?
Yeah, well, it's a bit cliche, but yeah, take your time, and it doesn't just happen overnight. It's a complex craft, and it really takes time to learn and to practice before you're able to draw correct letters, and then skillfully paint them, and have good color combinations, the right effects and stuff like that. There's a lot of facets in it, but they're all rewarding, and yeah, just take it step by step, learning each step until you're satisfied, and then move on to the next. And then in the meantime, of course, you can try to sell yourself and do some assignments, but don't make it too complex for yourself from the beginning on. Take it easy and practice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There is something we have missed to mention, and it's your last launching, which are your t-shirts.
Oh. Yeah, I knew this was coming, so I prepared. I put on my own t-shirt.
The model.
When I painted this box, I was like, okay, well, this would be nice on a t-shirt. And it's a bit of a thing among sign painters to have your own t-shirt. And then, of course, when you're painting on a job, people look at you from the back. So, of course, the main details should be on the back. So I'll just turn around, maybe move the camera a bit down. So.
Yeah, there it is. Well, Pieter, I have to give you a massive thanks. Thank you very much for this lovely talk, for sharing all your knowledge, for showing us such a beautiful space where you are at the moment, for showing us all your boxes and little projects. If people want to search for you, where they can find you?
Yeah, well, they can find my website, boldstatements.nl, which is also my Instagram account. So boldstatements.nl on Instagram and Facebook, and of course on the big internet. So check it out.
Great. Okay, Pieter, ciao.
Okay,
take care.
Ciao.
And see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.